Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK and WFPK.org, Consequence and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, for checking out the episode. You know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And speaking of favorites, I'm excited to have him here today, Chris Diamantopoulos. Hello, sir.
Hiya, Kyle. You said that like you're like related to me. And by the way, 3 interviews a week.
Three
You're
interviews
the
a week.
hardest working man in show business.
Okay. I think I don't know if I can take that crown from you because I would say the same thing about you. So
We got to keep plugging away, don't we? It keeps us moving. I like it.
you got to keep. I don't know if you're that type of person. I'm no good when I'm not working, and so
It's when the demons creep in, man. I tell you, I loathe holidays, summer break, Christmas break. I like Christmas. I like summer. I just would like it if the motor didn't stop. Let's
sure.
just keep moving. Let's keep going.
Yeah, there's the joke around my house. It's my wife has to like sort of beg me to go on vacations with her.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh
it's fine
man.
if it's like I like a road trip vacation because it's I have a task, right?
Yeah.
Like there's something that can happen. She wants to go to the beach, and I'm like, I'm no good on the beach. I'm no- let
Yeah,
me
we're
bring
like
my computer
like
and I'll be fine.
We're like golden retrievers. We've got to have a task, a beginning and an end. I absolutely agree. I have 4 children, a golden retriever, 2 cats, and a 130-pound tortoise. So I need to keep moving.
How old is your tortoise?
The tortoise is 16 years old. We just adopted him. It's my wife shows up one day and she's like, "Hey, you look great." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You look so I feel like you've been eating better or exercising." No, I'm eating the same shit. You look really good. Okay, thanks.
Buttering you up.
You're so funny. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? She's like, we adopted a tortoise. I'm like, okay, how much is this going to cost me? She goes, nothing. And then, like, $7,000 later, I'm building a storybook tortoise sanctuary with a cobblestone like steps that lead into the tortoise chalet. What the
Oh
fuck?
my
Sorry, am I
God.
allowed to swear on this? I'm not allowed to swear on this, am I?
You can swear all you want, please.
Oh, thank
You know
God,
what?
because
Even
it's
swear
9 a.m.
excessively, by the way. Just swear when you don't need
Okay,
to.
good.
It's
Good, good, good. Because I like to let the expletives fly early in the morning.
and tortoises like that's what I say. Like I don't know if a regular tortoise is like a sea tortoise can live like 200 years.
This will live over 130 years. So I have to put this thing into my will like a water feature. So whoever buys the fucking house has to like grow lettuce for the tortoise. I'm listen, I'm going to work until the day I die because I love it, but also because
The tortoise
that
to take
tortoise
care
eats a
of.
lot of fucking lettuce. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's one thing to send your kids off to college, but now
Yeah. No, 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 exactly. Wordle's got to eat.
well, good luck to you on that. And luckily, you're
Yeah.
doing some quality work out there and staying busy. The latest thing we see you in is the Sticky on Prime, which is so. This is a fun show. Let's hear about this because the real story is that there was a maple syrup heist of enormous magnitude, and the story that you all are telling is not that story, correct?
Well, here's the deal. We are telling a story akin to that story. It's like, look, in this day and age, back in the day, you used to say based on a true story, and everyone
Sure.
just naturally assumed that what happened in the movie was what happened. This it's exactly the same thing. It's just in these days, everyone's much more litigious and going back and oh no, that he was wearing blue pants, not red on 1971, not 19. Anyway, so yes, this is based on a heist that happened in northern Canada in 2011, I believe. So many people don't know this, but the global maple syrup uh, business is run by this association in northern Canada, I believe, and they dole out how much maple syrup goes to where and which um, farmers can produce more or less, and they keep it all in a repository. Is that the
Uh-huh.
word? Not
Yeah.
suppository. That's something
Well,
else.
that'd be different. Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
want
it'd be
that.
different. Keeping the maple in a suppository is a sweet way to wake up. Anyway,
When we
so
call this the story the sticky at that point, it means something
yes,
completely different.
it's different. Oh God, I always turn things into an episode of Maury Povich or Hard Copy. Anyway, so this is true. And these drums, like oil drums, barrels of maple syrup are stored in this massive warehouse, these massive warehouses. Each of them is worth several $1,000s. And there are thousands of them, tens of thousands of them, just waiting for when the association decides they're going to ship them into different places. Well, someone in 2011 realized that warehouse was unguarded, and there's a huge market, a black market for maple syrup.
Of course there
And
is.
they decided to try to steal tens of millions. I think it was close to $20 million worth of maple syrup. And that's what our story's about. And I play the idiot.
I mean, it's a guy who like he's a weak guy who tries to project strong the
Have you
entire
seen the
time.
Have you seen the whole show? Just so I know if we're talking. Have you seen a
Yes, I've
couple of
seen every
episodes?
yeah, I believe I've seen every episode that's yeah, right. I've seen the
Okay,
whole
cool,
thing.
cool. Did you enjoy it? Did you have a
I
good
loved
time?
it. I loved
Yeah,
it because, there are touch points that I immediately go to, something like Fargo and a little Cohen Brothers-esque and everything,
totally.
like you've got like much like what the Coens do, you've got these characters who are so bumbling in everything that they do, but you want them to win even though they're not exactly good.
Look, I have a history of playing characters that shouldn't have a single redemptive characteristic, and that people should loathe them.
Uh-huh.
And by all accounts, they are loathsome. But it is fun to try and find the almost like just the last ember of humanity in a character like that, and see if you can spark, first of all, the humor, but then maybe even a little bit of that, oh fuck, I kind of want him to succeed
Hmm.
vibe.
Hmm.
And so that is a lot of fun. Yeah, I play a guy who in the from the very beginning, like walking by, you're like, ooh, that guy's got his shit together. And unfortunately, it's such a thin veneer. It's like dust. It's gossamer. It could blow away
Right.
so easily, and it does. And that's one of the things that the show does really well is it gives us this cataclysmic tumble down effect of it starts here and it just gets worse and
It
worse
just
and
gets
worse
worse.
and worse. It's really fun.
Now, why do you think that you end up in those characters? Like, do those characters come to you, or do you seek them out?
Look, I'm sure you talk to a lot of actors that will give you an idea of how they look for their roles. And I,
I mean, I think a lot of actors, the roles are like, "Am I working today?"
look, I've been a working actor, a professional working actor for 40 years. Okay. And there have been times where I'll look and find something and think, oh, wow, I'm honing in on that. I want to do that. That has to happen. And it happens. There are times where I hone in on it and it doesn't happen. But for the most part, I'm reading as much material as I possibly can, whatever's out there. And I try and see where I might be able to match the value that I can add and how I can have a really great time and deliver a performance that I'm proud of. In this instance, Brian and Ed aren't going to like this story, but it's true. Um, I read this script when Blumhouse had this script, and I just thought it was brilliant. I wanted to be a part of it. I didn't even know what I wanted to do in it, but I knew I wanted to be a part of it. And there wasn't a heck of a lot of interest. Now, I will say, in their defense, the role that I'm playing originally was meant for an older character actor, and there were physical characteristics written in. I gotta say though, had they got there was no way that somebody that wasn't physically adept could have played that role, because what I'm doing in that show, man, that's one of the most physically demanding performances, and you wouldn't necessarily know it when you're watching it, sort of in retrospect. But there's some stuff that I had to do there that was insane. Anyway, it took about a year and a half to finally be able to go, over here, take a gander, and then and it was sort of met with a, well, not what we had in mind, you know, not sure. And then when we met, it was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, right. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And that
Like,
was it.
you're perfect for it. A
It
colleague of
was, yeah.
mine, we were talking about this interview coming up, and sort of building off what you were saying, because I feel like you do hit this middle spot. She goes, when she thinks of you, she said he's like a character actor's soul with a leading man chin.
Oh, can you just give me her address? Because the check's it's on the way. I wasn't sure if it was a PO box or an apartment number. Oh, can
But
you
I feel
just
like
tell her? Oh,
no, because in these moments, like when you're trying to picture stuff, like that's probably at least a little bit of a hurdle. Like
it's
what
not
was
it.
it?
Listen, yeah, I'm not the prototypical either, and I'm sort of in the midst of both. But I look to someone like the patron saint of all character actors, Mr. Bryan Cranston, and I think, well, he fit a similar vibe. he has a charming air. He's a handsome guy, but he's also charactery and quirky, and he also happens to be an incredible, soulful talent.
Mhm.
Also happens to be a close personal friend, and I look to him for guidance in all aspects of the business, both in how it's run, but and more importantly, in how I deal with it, how I take it all in. And he's been an incredible, incredible friend.
I think he just started or got part of a bourbon line here in town.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
he's branching out.
everybody's getting into the drinks, you know. That's
Listen, I'll tell you what. I know what you're talking about.
look at that right there.
Yeah. So we did when I did Silicon Valley. I played a horrible character named Russ Hanneman, who was a billionaire who was obsessed with commas because he was part of the Three Comma Club. And Mike Judge and HBO and I released a limited run of this stuff called Tres Comas, and it's quite delicious. And
Everybody's getting part of the drinks. See,
that's it. That's it.
now I've got to get off on this detour right here.
Yeah.
Like how much work is that part of your life?
Which part? What do you mean?
The drink.
Oh, oh, that was a happy little a little promotion here and there,
Okay.
and now, but I will say, Mike and Alec and I are actually thinking about bringing it back full throttle, actually doing a proper full release. So I'm hoping to make it a bigger part of my life. What is a big part of my life is walking down the street and having people yell, "This guy fucks," at me when I'm walking with my children, and I'll just say, appreciate the sentiment, but you know, when I have to tell a 4-year-old, no, 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 he said this guy is a fox. And then my 4-year-old goes, "Why are you a fox?" And I'm like, They just think I'm foxy."
Great looking, great look.
Yeah,
Because I got a
great
leading
looking.
man chin. That's why.
That's it.
But that that phrase there, the character. So like that's the character also in the sticky. Like that's
Totally.
him, right? Like this
Yes.
is that veneer you're talking about. You know, that's
He leads with the chin, and we realize very quickly thereafter there's not much leading man there. He wants to, in his mind, he's the leading man. He hears, like, Ennio Morricone soundtracks in the background, and he thinks he's got it. And then you've got Margot Martindale's character, the great
great.
love of my life, Margot Martindale, who basically slaps him like Mo would slap Larry, right? And Margot pulls us together. And then we've got Guillaume Cyr, who is just, I think people are gonna meet him and fall in love with him. It's such an odd trio, and it makes me happy that the world gets to have this experience around the holiday time,
Yeah.
because I think people are gonna curl up and they are gonna just fucking devour this.
And it's great. And of course, Jamie Lee
Oh,
and having her part, it's just like everybody was so hitting the marks,
can I
on
talk about
every bit of this.
Jamie Lee Curtis, man? Jamie Lee Curtis could power a small country with her energy. She showed up. She worked on camera with us for about a couple weeks, I think, and she's one of those people that from beginning to end has energy at 11,
Hmm.
to quote her husband's movie, and and it doesn't stop. And it's the most infectious and beautiful tribute to a life spent in this industry. And she loves it. And
Hmm.
she makes everyone around her love it. And she makes everyone around her better.
I
It's
think you
great.
could tell too. Like it really
Yeah.
does. You can tell that comes
Yeah.
out of it. And what I also love about it, it's like it's a very Canadian story. Not
Yeah.
it's not exclusive, I mean, everybody can like it's so Canadian. I love the idea that like correct me, like you grew up in Ontario, but you're playing a guy from Boston in an
Yes. Isn't
otherwise
that
Canadian
funny?
show.
I know, totally. I'm the American in the Canadian show, and I'm the Canadian. Yeah, I grew up in Toronto. I left home when I was a teenager and moved to New York City to work on Broadway. But I always, again, going back to how do I look for a role, I do look for stuff that's happening in Canada or that's Canadian themed if there's something right for me, because I love working in Canada and I love Canada. And it was fun to be the American, and I added a ton of you know uh, disgruntled emotion from this guy who really just fucking hated the cold.
Which is
It was fun,
hilarious.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like I was trying to think of the other parts about that because the soundtrack too caught me off guard because it's all the popular songs, but
Isn't that clever?
yeah, in
They
in
do it
what
in French.
in French, right?
They
Yeah,
do these French pop songs. They do the pop song that you remember, like Lollipop, but done in a French cover, which I think is such a clever way uh, to create a brand stamp on a show with music.
Mhm.
And it really creates an air. I think the thing that the sticky accomplishes more than anything is creating a world that we haven't seen before.
Mhm.
It's this it's dirty, it's a little brown, sepia-esque. It's an underworld. It's this underbelly of northern Canada meeting the northern states, and it's gooey. Yeah,
Might it be sticky even?
I'll take it.
I'll take it because it's not how we typically think of, the Great White
No,
North or something like that. But I mean, again, you're right. That's what because it's not what you expect the entire
that's right.
time. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And it's not a resolved season, and I'm not going to say anything spoilery and anything like that because, I don't know how this works. Like, you know, if it because people have to watch it, I guess, for them to go, let's do more of this.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
think and Amazon in particular sort of has been doing that. I just worked on another show, Ed Brubaker's Criminal, which is coming out with Emilia Clarke and Charlie Hunnam and Luke Evans. But I think what they're doing is they release like 4 or 6 episode events. They sort of gauge and then they'll carry on type thing. So yeah, I think we're teed up very, very well to
yeah.
carry on.
And again, once everybody makes it to the end, chef's kiss on that last episode, especially, and everything. Really, the last two episodes, I think, and everything that's happening there. That's when the real fun starts showing itself.
It's true. Yeah. And then you really start opening the world and realizing where this can go. Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm really glad that you enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now, on the other side of your career as a voice actor, how much of that do you factor in when you're going into a character like this? Like finding the voice. There are some actors, depending on the character, it really is like finding the voice.
Oh, 100%. Finding the voice is the way in. And we toyed with, because he's, technically Bostonian, we toyed with a Boston accent. The thing was, when we go deep, deep, deep into his backstory, he's probably a transplant from somewhere else. The reason that he is as insecure as he is, the reason he has his Napoleonic complex is because he's not from anywhere. He's never fit in. So even the the uh his little mob group in Boston, he's not from them. They welcomed him in. So we thought it might be, if I did the Bostonian, then that would mean that I'm rooted somewhere, and my being an albatross doesn't necessarily sort of pan out. So yeah, I think with this one, it was more the energy and the physicality. But yeah, I mean, with every character, whether it's on camera or animation, the voices. I mean, that's everything. The reason I got into the business is because I have this silly facility with my voice, being able to change it and adapt it and mimic other people and stuff like that. So that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I mean, when Mickey Mouse was on the table, I sort of shied away from it because I'm a bass baritone. I didn't think I was going to be able to add value to that. And then I watched a documentary with Walt Disney, and I saw him talking into camera, and I listened to his voice, and he smoked a lot, but he had a very low voice. And the interviewer asked him to do Mickey Mouse, and he went, "Oh boy." And I thought, "Oh, I could do that." And then the rest is history. And it's been such an incredible part of my career. I wear
Yeah.
this.
I mean, to have I mean, I don't know that there's anything higher than Mickey, right? Like that's arguable. But that's really the tops. But also to have like, you're in Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, Beavis and Butthead and Invincible and Blood of
Right.
Zeus and yeah, Solar Opposites and all sorts of things and Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I
Mhm.
love it, and I bring the same aplomb to each project. And some of them really want charactery stuff, and others want very, very natural reads. It's super fun to work with these different showrunners that have ideas of what their world is, and to be able to be a tool for them. Because let it be known, I'm a tool.
You'd set that one up for yourself and just not
Yeah.
put it out there.
Listen, yeah.
First base hit. Yeah, I had a Hank Azaria on here the other day because
Oh
he's I don't know
wow,
if you've kept up with Hank, but he's got this Bruce Springsteen tribute band that he's doing, and that's what he's
I
been
didn't know that.
developing the boss's voice on stage, and he does a whole set as the boss.
Wow,
You know,
I've always been such a huge admirer of his, man.
Yeah. But we were
Wow.
talking, and it's like to get into someone that deep, like where
Mm.
you're not even just the voice, like you're doing the whole thing. I don't know if it ever happens with you, but have you ever had any moment like that that's held on like I guess what I'm saying, like hard to shake? Like,
I did a movie early in my career that really sort of opened my eyes to how much I want to work as a character actor. I did a TV movie in 2005 for NBC called Behind the Camera: The Unauthorized Story of Mork and Mindy.
Mhm.
And they were looking for Robin Williams, and I didn't even consider it. My wife was like, "Why wouldn't you do this? You do all those voices, you have that energy." I was like, "No, I don't look anything like him. I don't sound anything like him." She's like, "Well, change that. You're an actor." And I was like, "Becky, they're not going to hire me." And sure enough, I started thinking about it, and I started watching some of his stuff on, Actor Studio, and I thought, oh, maybe, and so I started messing around with it, and then the 3 week shoot, I didn't break character. Oh, choke them if they can't take a fuck. I really sort of went straight, full throttle into it, and I couldn't shake it. I would do interviews, a year later, and I'd go, oh, and I'd be like, what am I doing? It happened with Stooges too, when I was, pulling face, watch what you're doing, look what, and I would constantly, someone would say something, what, and yeah, I couldn't get out of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to let it go.
I mean, it's so interesting, when you think about your brain, like it was Austin Butler who got kind of ridiculed because he couldn't get rid of the Elvis voice for a while. But I'm like, but the guy lived with it for like a
He lived
year.
it.
Like I
He
can't
lived
knock
it.
him for that.
Ridicule, schmidicule. If they're ridiculing you, that means they're paying attention.
That's
Butler's
true.
all right in my book, man. That kid can do it.
Dude can do it. I would say the same about you, and I
Thanks,
say
man.
that in this nice rappy uppy moment here because the sticky is so good in everything I see you in. I love you in all the stuff,
Thanks,
and
man.
I guess when I hear you too, and I don't even know that I'm hearing you half the time, and then I figured out afterwards, like, my God, the guy is so talented. I hate him.
That's very, very nice of you to say. I love that I know who you are now. I'm a Luddite, right? I don't pay attention to much. I got 4 kids and many animals, but I think you're great at your craft, and I'm really happy that I got a chance to sit down and chat with you, man.
Yeah,
Thanks.
man, and good luck with that turtle.
Yeah,
It'll
thanks. I'll
outlive
need
us
it.
all.
Yeah, he will. The stories he could tell.
The stories you could tell. Congrats on the sticky. I can't wait for more of this show. Seriously.
December 6th on Amazon. People are going to absolutely love it. And thanks for your enthusiasm, dude.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.